Yes, the following is a conversation about Mr. Stephen Musoke. He's a very seasoned developer, and he's giving one of the best keynote speeches at the second day of Pycon in Ghana 2020. We're going to have a conversation with him on software development and how we can grow our careers as software developers. He's going to be sharing quite a lot. So, yeah, this time.
Thanks, Jonathan. It's been a pleasure. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Yeah. So, sorry for just babbling with you. Thank you for your time. I'd like to first of all ask you a question. What inspired you to become a software developer? First place.
I wasn't inspired. I just fell into it.
Oh, that's
So I met a person who had a software development firm. At that time, I was in my Essex back. Went to work with him. It sounded fun for an Essex who has nothing to do, So I just kept doing it through university, and at the end, he said, "You know what? Come and do the software business." So I didn't really get inspired. I just fell in it. It seemed enjoyable. It seemed fun.
Yes. One of the best things you say in your keynote speech is the fact that you love everyone being self-taught. In my opinion, I think every software developer is self-taught, regardless of whether they went to university, college, or studied from an institution. Personally, I went to a university, but I realized that 10% of what I do right now has been from learning outside the classroom, outside lectures,
Yes.
going to YouTube, going to these different course platforms, reading books and all that stuff. I like to understand the approach of teaching yourself these technologies.
Get a paid project. The pressure you will learn.
The pressure is not
The pressure is what forces you to solve the problem. So what I've learned is, like over time, we learn best while solving the problem. So your first solution may not be perfect, but it just works. So you just keep getting better. But you also don't want to be happy with the solution that you have. So I think that is the other thing, is I try to continuously improve and get better. And so on. So I have things like performance, security, extensibility, sort of your non-functional requirements at the back of my head, because based on experience, I found that if you have to build it to be extensive. Even if I don't know how to do it in the language, first I solve the problem. Then as we keep adding, I start refactoring and applying those changes to make it easier to run, faster, and things like that. So I think the idea is really find a problem, solve it, have customers use it, and then you will learn. We don't learn in an easy environment. I think pressure, not too much, hopefully, but pressure provides an excellent opportunity for you to separate the wheat from the chaff. What do I need today? It provides some focus, because you don't have to learn anything. You're just learning enough to solve the problem at hand.
You've mentioned something actually interesting, something that I read from a book by Donald. I don't know his name. The guy who wrote a series of books on the art of computer programming. He said something that premature optimization is
the root of all evil.
Yeah. And if you basically say it by saying that you have to first make something work before you go to all these optimizations. So, what are some of the ways you get to optimize? For a beginner, we write code because we want something that works. But as time goes on, then we realize that it solves a problem, but with the demand, let's say, increasing users, project getting big, we need to refactor code and all that stuff. How important is it for us to go on with these optimizations, and how important are they? Are we required to do these optimizations? Are we required to basically think of these optimizations when writing our code, or we need to first make our code work?
So experience is the best teacher. So we have best practices. They are best practices, right? You don't over-design. You try to use the simplest architecture possible. We'll talk about Docker and K8, but I say, every problem probably needs a VPS with MySQL or something. You will not scale as much. So I think the key is solve the problem. There's some best practices on code design, the framework you're using. Like, you follow those. Those are like a given.
Yes.
So when you follow those, it gets you 80% of the way. Then your particular problem will now require you to say, okay, what do we change, what do we tweak? But many, using the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule,
yes,
80% of the work of the projects you do will not require any optimization. Just the best practices themselves are usually sufficient.
Yes. So regarding the fundamentals, I'm a backend engineer currently, and yeah, I'm just 1 month into my new role, and I would like to know some of the advice you give to a person like me who is just starting their first job. I know someone may need that kind of knowledge. Someone may have got their first job, or someone may be looking to get their first job as maybe a front-end engineer or back-end engineer or back-end developer. What would you tell such a person?
I mean, I mentioned it in my keynote. Either you run the day or the day runs you. So the key thing is first figure out what kind of problems you're solving, what you're expected to do, what the clients expect. First solve those immediate things because you're new. But also don't be happy. Continuously ask questions. And so the key curiosity, I mentioned it, I think also in my keynote. Like curiosity is so important. Like what does this thing do? What does it, what I said about give your employer, if you work 40 hours, give your employer 50 and 20%. And 50% for yourself. That 50% doesn't have to be something different. It can be like, what does this framework do? How can we optimize? What are the best practices? I think best practices are like a silver bullet because they avoid the most common issues. So if you go, to Django and they're telling you models have to be this and that for best performance, follow that.
Yes.
I mean, there are some things the customers don't care about. They don't care about your primary keys or things like that. But they do care that you have your numeric keys and exposing numbers. Yes. So you say, okay, I'll use a numeric key because it's fast, but then I'll add a UID, which I'll keep passing in the URLs, and Django handles that natively. Yes. So you've already handled things like those attacks because they're using a UID and things like. So you sort of figure out like those best practices are there because they sort of take you 80% of the way. So most people want to go 100%, but I think there's a concept of good enough.
Yes.
Like how is it good enough for today? But then I'm saying that good enough for today, I have to be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the next thing I touch, I will improve the design and see if it works. If it works, then I'll continuously each time I touch something existing, I improve it. Each time, so refactoring is a code. So people assume that you have to stop work and refactor. Refactoring is a continuous process. Yeah, I was talking with someone here and I said, good developers write great code. Great developers write no code. Zen developers delete code. So Zen developers reduce the amount of code in a project. Each line of code you reduce is a line that has to be tested, evolved, maintained, etc. I'm not tied to my code. I am happy throwing away my code and replacing it with a library or package, whether free or paid. Most people say free, but I say because there's a cost to my time, a paid package could just do it.
Solve the problem.
It solves the problem where I have to write less code because there's less to maintain.
Yes.
And I can keep getting new versions and stand on the shoulders of that giant, that package. Yes. May not do everything I want, but I can figure out enough. I think the key is figuring out which combination of things works for you or works for the problem at hand. And you keep, building, I call it building a toolbox. You build a toolbox of skills, of tools, of experience that helps you solve problems. Not necessarily faster, but at times faster, at times better, but creating value for other people.
According to how you talked about how you manage your team, I'd like to know, as a software developer, most of us get so much about writing code and forget the fact that we are human beings. What do you have to say about that? How can a software developer effectively manage their time in this generation of time we tend to attach most of our lives to our careers and forget other things outside who we are, friends, hobbies and all that stuff. I like to look at a seasoned software developer who has more than the time of the how you actually get to manage your time, your daily work, be able to handle tasks and meet deadlines while still living as a father, as a husband, and all that stuff.
I don't do a good job of all of them. It's a pendulum, like I said. It keeps swinging either way. So you figure out something that works. Work-life balance is a verb. It is not a noun. It's not a state. There is no work-life balance. It keeps shifting. Today your family may be more important than work. Tomorrow work may be more important. The key is not to go too much on each extreme, but find that balance that works for you. That's the hard part. And that balance keeps changing as you grow older, as you get more, as you're promoted in your job, as you're promoted in your, like all of them just keep changing. So the idea is, that's why I love Agile. So it's saying all those Agile principles will solve the problems that you have to solve. Think of the future, Yagni, you ain't gonna need it. Like you figure it out. Like everything is different for everybody. Everybody has a different path. Everybody has different circumstances. So the idea is to figure out which ones work for you. Yeah.
So one of the interesting talks that happened yesterday was by Idris. Idris saying that a software developer who is a senior software developer is actually a junior software engineer, but they are being exposed to more problems than the average junior developer. So I'd like to understand how someone can expose themselves to solving more problems.
Or, like I said, I think in my talk, either the day runs you or you run it.
Yes.
So at the beginning you're getting tasks, but then you have to stop getting tasks because then you just become a laborer. You have to be the one, you have to get to the level of defining those tasks. So that you understand, like you have to move up the stack. The idea is to continuously improve so that you keep moving up the stack, so that you're the one defining the problems, such that you can figure out what do I delegate. Like you have to build your team, because I assume, everybody has to plan for growth. So you have to essentially say, I will do some boring things, I'll do some fun stuff, but I'll solve problems, but I have to take charge of my destiny. That is it. So how you take charge of your destiny is do your work. That's the first thing. Then secondly, ask, okay, how can I help define this work I'm doing? And then people are willing to help. Like everybody, your senior developers, your tech lead, your PMs, they are willing to work with you. Like many people say, no, I'll wait for tasks. Then you will wait for tasks. But if you decide to take charge of your destiny, then no.
So there is this question that I always have. You see, most of the times we get to work for our money and forget to actually participate in activities that are not paid for. You're not getting paid for them, but they would be in society. I personally run a YouTube channel. I've been creating content basically. I learn a new framework and try to create a project. Build something, document my process of building that and that's something where it's
great.
So I like to know what are the different ways a programmer can put themselves in positions to serve other developers. Because much as we code, we also stand for giants who create these frameworks, who write books, who write the content that we use to run these frameworks. What are some of the ways a software developer, a finance software developer, can put themselves in a position where they are adding value, where they are trying to be of use to other developers, where they can be in position to give keynote speeches that inspire people to get into the industry, to start their journey?
You're already there. You're even way ahead of me. I have no YouTube channel. I use a blog, good old boring texts. Like share, I keep saying share whenever you learn something, whenever you have a problem or challenge, talk about it. Like share knowledge. Nobody has a monopoly on knowledge. Just keep sharing. Now you may say, yeah, but I have few views, etc. Remember compounding. One video a week is 52 a year, is 250 in 5 years.
Yeah, so I've actually got to witness compounding. Because I started my YouTube channel in 2020, right? And I was creating videos. But then at that time I had a lot of time, so I created a lot of videos. I've currently created over 280 something videos, and I've been watched close to 600,000 times. And for that I'm really grateful. But the most important thing is I've improved my communication skills and my coding skills as well, and I've actually got to get exposed to opportunities because of that. So it has been a very nice experience.
But you see, when you started, you wanted to give up because nobody was watching your videos.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So people give up, but you have to look at, like I said, play the long game. 5-10 years. Keep doing what you're doing. Get better 1% every day, 1% every day. and it compounds. Initially, it's very little, but you will get to a time where it just blows up. So the idea is to stay the path, is to stay the journey, and also keep evolving. Like now, you may find you are doing new frameworks, but now you're going deeper. Remember, I gave the comb analogy.
Yes.
For the frameworks, so nobody says you have to do frameworks outside what you're using at work. Go deep in the ones you're doing at work.
Yeah.
One, it helps you get better. Two, it's more relevant to you. For me, a lot of my blog posts and tweets are to remind myself of settings that otherwise I'll forget them. Yeah. So I put them out, and you'd be amazed. Like you Google something, and guess who answered that question? Yeah. You. There's nothing better. Like you say, okay, you can even participate on the back and say, the future Steven will be thankful.
Yeah. I actually also ran into scenarios where I get an error, mostly in Django actually, where I have to go and then, so I created a video about Django framework, and this is how we actually solve problems I'm having.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is actually interesting.
So you're saving gold for your future generation, for the future you. The future you thanks the current you. It's boring, it's additional work, but it's an additional skill. I like you to check out a guy called Aaron Francis, Planet Scale. He has just done screencasting.com. He's one of the most popular video guys. He's self-taught and so on, but he has created excellence. I keep going for this thing of mastery, excellence, continuous improvement, stuff like that. Like, aim for the stars. You'll probably reach it.
Yeah. So let me bring up a very interesting conversation and the things that have been trained mostly in the JavaScript space. DHH stops support TypeScript in favor of JavaScript. So this kind of reminds me of the thing that technology is always calm, but we need to try to think of ways to use the technologies that we use better. Let's say another language came out that solves most of the problems that Python has. Instead of, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I always think that instead of having to think of jumping into programming, let's try to think of how we can make Python better.
Why not do both? Jump, like part of my slides was learn other languages.
Yeah.
So that you can bring, like for me, I told you, I'm a PhD guy. So I find deployments, it's in Laravel, like that. In Django, I have asked, there's almost no automation. That means there's a business opportunity to actually automate those deployments using the experience from other languages. Like for us in PHP deployments, like we don't think about it. So it's the same. You know, they all have package managers, they all run migrations. Like, but why don't we have the Laravel code or something, you know, or something similar? And the key thing is this: you can be the one to create. But I think so. The idea is jump to the new language if it makes sense for you.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You can't stay too old. Some of us old timers are lucky. I have to learn Angular by the end of this year, that I can support the fraternity that I'm working with. But it has taken me 3 years because the brain is not understanding why I have to send JSON to the front and JavaScript to generate HTML. Where I can do it better in Django, because Django has templates, it has reactivity. We can use something like stylus, but it's whatever. So I think you solve the problems that you have and figure out what your tool chain is, what you're good at, and you learn new things. If at your workplace concurrency is a problem, use Go and use it to solve that problem.
What if we're in a scenario where we want to change? Well, let's say we have a legacy code base, let's say our PHP,
yes,
and there is this need for concurrency. Let's say we're using Python, but then we need this concurrency.
yes.
In case we do not have the chance, or we do not have the opportunity to just jump into it from one. So what would you suggest in that scenario?
You're not the first of it. Every problem is a special case of a more general problem. You're not the first to deal with concurrency in Django or in any language. Like there's a known solution, which accuse. Excuse it. Or break up your process in such a way that one step doesn't have to. Like there are so many solutions to this problem, that we're sort of locked in and saying the new framework is obvious. We're humans, right? It's sexier, it's more fun. I can talk about it. But good old boring tech, people still use FTP.
Yeah, sure.
Secure FTP still banks, reconciliation, and CSV files, the best file format ever.
Yes.
It's a text file, and you can load 10 GB of CSV file. So files are ready through Steam. Like, the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Okay. So to conclude this conversation, I'd like you to give some advice to a software developer or someone who wants to get into tech that is really having imposter syndrome. They feel like they cannot get started. It's not a skill that they can pick up. Personally, many people I talk to, people who have the potential to become software developers, but can't really become software developers in any students. I don't have time, but they have a lot of time in their hands. I do not have the skills, and yet many of us pick up the skills without having even background. They say programming at university. I did not see a computer until I was around 19.
So did I.
Yeah. So I want you to talk to that person.
I mean, their threshold for pain. I mean, their opportunity. Like I said, the first thing, the problems you want to solve with programming are in front of you. Start with that. Anything that gives you a lot of pain, automate it. Figure out, there's so many, I mean, you don't have to really do programming. There's automation in Windows, there's automation on the Mac OS where you can say, if I press this key, it will open this file. If I keep renaming 50 files, can I write a script, a bash script to continuously do that for me? If there's if I'm doing video encoding like this one, and I have to use FFmpeg, to change it from a WAV into a RAW to upload on YouTube. Why should I keep running like those 50 commands? I write a bash script that does one, renames the file, then does the second command. Like, it's all in front of you. So I think you start with the problems they're struggling with. That's where you start. You start with an itch. Like I tell people, scratch an itch. That's the easiest way to get it, because you're solving your own problem. You're not programming for other people. And the best programmers started that. They started by scratching an itch. In Excel, you have to do the same transformation in Excel every month. Why not automate it? Save it as a CSV. Learn how to change this find a command, even if it's JQ, to actually change this and change those columns so that they're reversed or added. There's so many levels of programming that everybody assumes you have to use an ID. You can even use a text editor to run bash command, and that should be fine.
Mr. Musoke, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. I mean,
an honor. I always wish to have this conversation from when I first had you. Was it DevFest of 2021?
Yes, DevFest.
I was like, I need to talk to this guy, but I don't know. By that time, I don't think I even had my YouTube channel.
Now you see, now you have. So you've actually made steps. If you didn't have a YouTube channel, we would be, in Rwanda. But now we have it recorded for posterity. And keep up the work. I think the idea is don't give up. It compounds. Just keep doing it and see where it takes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.